All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, the Dallas Mavericks just wrapped up their most successful season in 11 years, but will they be able to build off of that? The Mavericks reached the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2011. But as I predicted at the start of this series with the Golden State Warriors, the Dubs were going to be too much for them. And they showed that as they got past the Mavs in 5 games to reach the NBA Finals. Now, I expected the Warriors to let Luka Doncic be himself, but go after everyone else. And as you look at this series, Doncic averaged 32 points, more than 9 rebounds, and 6 assists, but things did not come as easy for his teammates in this series against the Warriors. Now, make no mistake about it, these playoffs showed that Luka Doncic is well on his way to being a superstar in the NBA, and he also has the potential to be a league MVP. But the Mavericks still have some work ahead of them if they expect to win an NBA championship, as they're not going to win it as far as the way that they are currently constructed. Now, make no mistake about it, the Mavs do need themselves another star player or another solid player to put around Luka Doncic, as he cannot do it by himself. But it's also a slippery slope because it's a situation where Doncic must embrace that as well. We saw the Mavericks a couple of years ago go out and acquire Kristaps Porzingis from the New York Knicks, and it just never came together for him and Doncic. And a good reason for that is you have two guys that need the ball in their hands to be effective. And I mean, Luca during the regular season, he took 9 more shot attempts per game than any of his other current teammates on this Mavericks team. Don't get me wrong, he can facilitate and he can get other guys involved, but it might be a situation. Maybe he just takes several less shots a game in order to get other guys involved, and maybe bringing in another star player to take some of that load off of, and looking to, gel and work with each other in order to help the Mavericks and Luca reach their ultimate goal, which is to win an NBA championship. Now, another big question for the Mavericks: can Jason Kidd, their head coach, put it together consistently from year to year? I say this because, Jay Kidd in his 1 year with the Brooklyn Nets, he got them to the playoffs, and then he left for the Milwaukee Bucks. And it was an up and down experience with Jason Kidd as the coach with Milwaukee before he was ultimately fired. Resurfaced the past couple of years as an assistant coach with the Los Angeles Lakers, and now he's back on the scene with the Dallas Mavericks. But with that said, can J Kidd put it together consistently? That's going to be another $1 million question for this Mavericks organization. The Mavericks, to me, I think they have to cut down on the amount of 3-point shots that they're taking per game. During the regular season, Dallas attempted 37 3-pointers a game, only to make 13. And we saw that at times during this postseason run for the Mavericks, where they really fell in love with a 3-point shot. And it was part of their undoing in this series against Golden State. Will the Mavericks be able to re-sign Jalen Brunson? We saw the young guard really step out, big time improvement this year, especially in the postseason. And of course, when you are on that postseason stage and you're able to take your game to another level, all of your peers are watching you, all of the other general managers and head coaches around the league and front office personnel, they're looking at you. They look not only to see what you can do productivity wise, how you carry yourself, X, Y, and Z. So it's going to be interesting to see how much would the Mavericks be willing to commit to Brunson going forward. You think about it, Dallas, they're going to need more of a front court presence if they're going to become a serious contender for the NBA championship. And you think about team owner Mark Cuban during his tenure, he leaves no stone unturned in regards to, giving his best effort to try to put a championship team around his star players and put a championship team on the court, period. So the ball's going to be in his court right now, along with general manager Nico Harrison, as they look to help the Mavericks get over this hump. And of course, the $1 million question is, will the Mavericks be able to take the next step? And it's so important, and it's not just an NBA thing, it's a sports thing. As far as organizations, it's not just a player, it's organizations being able to seize the moment. And I say that because Luka Doncic, for all of his skill, he is still a very young man. He's only 23 years of age. And I know that the future is bright for him, but it's a situation where you simply cannot rest on your laurels and say, okay, well, hey, Luka's young. We're in a good spot if we're the Mavericks to keep contending. I get that part, but at the same token, you have to seize the moment because you think about what the Dallas Mavericks were under Dirk Nowitzki. And of course, the Mavericks have now been able to segue from Dirk to Luka as far as being the face of their franchise. But as good as Dirk was, and as much as the Mavericks found themselves in contention when Dirk was there, it took them so much to get to that championship level. And you think about it, from 2000 to 2014, there were only three teams in the Western Conference, as good and as deep as it was. There were only three teams that made the NBA Finals from the West. That was the Spurs, and that was the LA Lakers, and of course, the Mavericks two times. But with that said, you think about what Dirk ran into consistently. He consistently had to deal with the Lakers. He consistently had to deal with the Spurs. And of course, those two teams in that stretch combined to win 10 NBA championships. So you simply cannot say, well, hey, you know what? We got Luka and we'll be okay. Why? Because in this present day NBA in the Western Conference, you have a young and hungry Memphis Grizzlies team. You look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they have youth on their squad as they're looking to improve. You think about the Golden State Warriors, and yes, they are a veteran savvy team, but these guys still know how to go out there and get it done. What's going to happen with the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers? You think about the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, a two-time MVP. So it's a situation where you simply can't sit back and say, hey, you know what? We've got this in the bag for the next 5 or 6 years because of the depth of the Western Conference. So I think it's important, and I think it's very vital right now for the Mavericks to not just rest on their laurels, but come back next season with some hunger in their hearts. Not to say that they weren't hungry this year to try to improve what they did, but also they're going to have to make some personnel moves if they want to find a way to take that next step as a franchise and get back to being NBA champions. The Mavericks, excuse me, were good enough to make the Western Conference Finals. They were the better team versus the Utah Jazz. When they took the court versus the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference semis, they were not the better team, but by series end, they were, because once they got it going and once they figured out the Suns, Luka was off to the races, and we saw Doncic set the tone for the Mavericks in game number 7 against Phoenix. And of course, the rest was history. But they simply ran into a better team, a deeper team in the Western Conference Finals in the Golden State Warriors. And for the Mavericks, this is what they're going to have to do going forward. Keep building, but don't take this thing for granted. Yes, Luka is young, but you know what? If you don't, seize the moment, 5 or 7 years from now, we could be sitting here having the same conversation saying, when are the Mavericks going to win with Luka? So let's see how and will the Mavericks be able to build off of this trip to the Western Conference Finals. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.